Now we have the Austrian Manlicher 1886 rifle. This rifle has a very interesting story, and it's kind of confusing because what happened, as we mentioned in our last video with the Verndl rifle, is after the Russian-Turkish War of 1877-1888, everyone realized the repeater was of a military advantage. But most governments and most militaries always wanted just a single shot gun. They said that it was a waste of ammo. Repeaters were unnecessary, complicated. The Austrians themselves had von Mannlicher designing these guns. He designed one prior to this, the 1885, which is a bit more complex, and only prototypes were made and for testing. And the mindset was, hey, it's too complicated, the average soldier won't be able to use this, okay? So everybody had the mindset, the Italians, the Dutch, the Germans, okay? Everyone believed single-shot guns were the way to go. Now after that war, everyone changed their mind. And here we have the clip also, which was also designed to be used with this magazine system. So the Austrians said, okay, we're going to go with it. We're going to make this straight pull design standard issue. So this rifle in this caliber was ordered by the government. Steyr started to produce them. They were given a contract, and they started manufacturing these guns in the 11.15 millimeter cartridge, same as the Verndl. And so they were cranking these out and getting them done. This one's in rough shape. And to find these in the original caliber is quite rare, okay? A batch of these went to Chile, and they are the only ones left. In the original caliber that you usually find, this one is odd. It doesn't have, I believe this gun was assembled from parts. The symbol for export is on the stock and the trigger guard, but not on the barrel. Okay, so this is probably just something assembled years ago from different pieces and is in pretty rugged shape. Okay, as you can see, the condition here. And there is no military acceptance date. Here's a look at the rear sight, how it was, and you can see that the finish, and this thing was all rusted over. The only thing is the bore is quite good on it. The chamber got rusted and pitted, but the bore is good on this. So this is an unusual gun, and that's why I was lucky to get it to test ammo in this. Okay, so there we go. So now the Austrians are in production, and they realized, hey, and this is what's going to lead to some more confusion in the other guns. Hey, it's better to have a small bore 8mm cartridge firing black powder, because smokeless powder was invented by the French. This started another arms race and all kinds of crazy crap. So the Austrians, in the middle of making these guns, decided they wanted to go, and the cartridge was the 8x54. That was a black powder cartridge that used an 8mm bullet. And that was the first one. So these guns were right in the middle of manufacturing. They said stop, rebarrel them in the 8x54mm cartridge. So that is why you don't find these. They say they were converted. They were just rebarreled, okay, and modified to fire the other cartridge. So that's where your model 1888 came about. And I guess some of the ones that were not rebarreled or reworked were sold, or some of them were foreign contracts that got out to Chile and that's why finding this gun in this original caliber is tough. And I believe a lot of these receivers and that were just turned into 1888s. So yeah, this one's a tough find. 1886s in the original calibers. And there's really no way to tell. I mean, you know, if they rebarrel them and replace the sights, it's hard to say. And this one I have, it's in pretty rough shape. I have fired it. And here's your safety and your straight pole. Down, the safety is off. And then again, these are a wedge lock, which when you look at the bowl that comes down, there's a wedge that drops down on a 1/4-inch pin that holds the bolt back. There are no lugs on it. And there's the bolt retracted. And I look at the inside of the receiver. You know, the early Manlicher magazine. And then, to add more confusion between the 1888s, 1890s, the chambers on the 1888s were cut different because they were given a wider throat for the black powder cartridges, and then when they went to a semi-smokeless or smokeless powder, they changed the dimensions again, and it went from an 8x54 length of the case to an 8x50 in its final versions. And then that was what it ended up with by the time the M95 rifle system was being introduced. Okay, and also I have a second variation of this gun. And this one, I believe, was sent to Chile, and I'll show you the markings and why. It's in a little bit better shape, but as you see, there's a barrel band missing. I got the sight up. We'll take a look at the volley sight. And the gun has been shortened because a lot of these Chilean guns, when you find them, have a barrel bulge in this area. I've seen several examples come up for sale, and they're all bulged right there. So I believe what happened is someone has cut this gun down, shortened the stock, kind of got it half-ass in there, tried soldering the sight on, back on, and they didn't do it quite correctly. It's off center, as you can see. So I tried shooting this, but the sight's off center. But anyway, we can look at this variation a little better. Here's this little barrel band in this little post, and you wonder what that's for. When you take the rear sight, as you see down here, it's in here, but it's locked in. You slide out that little piece. This thing slides in and out. Excuse my hand. But when you slide that out, you can see there's a little tiny notch on there. In that notch, you put that post, and you're almost like at a 45-degree angle. That's your volley sight right there on this. Now, this one's a little bit cleaner, so we'll take a look at the markings. There's a Steyr markings that's on the one below it, but it's almost impossible to see. Some stampings on the sight, which are on this one, but there's no acceptance date here on the barrel. So this was never issued to the Austrian Army. Okay. And how do I know that? Here's where the serial numbers come into play. Let me get this turned around. And when you look at the serial number, there's like a little Roman numeral 2 at the that designates that this gun was made for export. That little, like a Roman numeral 2 or pi symbol, means that this gun was an export gun, and the only country that got these was Chile. So this gun went to Chile, and like I said, probably was cut down, and it's still in the 11.15 millimeter caliber. So this is the two 1886 rifles that I have. And nobody has really done a real in-depth reference book on these guns and all these different changes. You have to get it online. You get little excerpts that explain this. And that's why there's confusion in what calibers they are, where they went to, where they came from. The fact that the Austrian made guns, because this one, the serial number has a K. So obviously the barrel and the action wasn't sent to Chile, but the stock has that symbol on the serial number, which that's a Chilean issued stock on this gun. So this one was always kind of an oddity and a mystery, so I don't know where it went. Some of them may have been sent to the Boer Wars, or the leftover ones were sold off secretly or something, so who knows. But that's the 1866s. And that brings us to the 1888s, which are going to be the subject of our next video. Also, I made in-depth videos on all of these weapons years ago. I even made some where I'm shooting them. If you go on my channel, you can find where I do a more detailed explanation of the history, the guns, the disassembly, and everything else. They're out there. They're still there. Okay, so check them out and look for them on my channel. And now we're going to move on to the next one.